Crossroads Football Live is presented by Victory Auto Group with sports director Max Williams and weekend sports anchor Ray Robinson. Sponsored by Adson Offers Velocity Power Sports, Palace Bingo, and Frost Bank. Crossroads Football Live starts now.
All right, everyone, welcome to week 4 of Crossroads Football Live. And tonight, we're getting ready to finish up here non-district play here for a lot of teams before we move into district play for a lot of teams going into this week. But before we reveal some big top games that we're looking at and our game of the week in a matter of moments, look here at tonight's viewer poll where I asked everyone, do you believe in my last week's Friday Night 5 rankings? And last week, we had kind of a split decision between everyone. And guess what? It looks like a lot of you don't agree with me here. 74% say no, 26% say yes. So hopefully with my rankings here tonight, you guys can agree with me there later on because we got a lot of changes that are going to happen here with this week's Friday Night 5 rankings. So don't go anywhere. We get to that. But now let's take a look here. Again, our game of the week, we have 3A versus 2A showdown between Ganado facing the Tidehaven Tigers, and both teams head in this game here at 3-0 with high explosive offenses, and we're going to see how this game would turn out here between both sides. Let's check out the highlights. And again, for Ganado, this team's kind of been on and off there with their defensive play. For Tidehaven, they got something. But how about the start here for Ganado? Big time pass from Landon Arriaga, throwing to Austin Pena there for the touchdown, and the Indians would spark first for the score. And again, but Tidehaven, this is why they come back. How about this nice tip-line play for the running back touchdown for the Tigers? And that's what they did a lot. They're more of a passing team first for Tidehaven, but the rushing game was huge here in this contest. But after this, how about this pass for Kale Russell to Bookie Galvin for the touchdown? Tidehaven responds right back here in this game. And this one went back and forth here. This one I thought was going to be closer, but it did not turn out to be. Tidehaven would get the victory here 38-12 in this game, meaning Tidehaven is now 4-0 individually. For Ganado, they go down to 3-1. Tidehaven travels to Wayless Brazos to start up district play next week, while Ganado starts district play out versus Latonia next week. Now, this game going the way there for Tidehaven in this game. We had 25 News Now weekend sports anchor Ray Robinson at Indian Stadium tonight, and he had a chance to catch up with Tidehaven head football coach David Lucio about what was kind of the key for the victory tonight versus the Ganado Indians.
Max, your game of the week brings us here to Ganado Stadium as Tidehaven walks away with the victory. Final score 38-12. And Coach Lucio, I mean, a game of this magnitude, I think you guys performed well, you know, in a game like that's this big. How do you assess your performance?
I mean, it was solid. We were real physical tonight, and in the end it paid off. We were able to score on every drive that we had the ball except for the last one. We ran the clock out. But we had 2 phases we wanted to score. We scored on every drive. And then in the second half, we wanted to run the clock, and we did a good job of running the clock out. So pleased with both sides of that. And defensively, man, they are a juggernaut on offense. Now, obviously, when they lost the first and second string quarterback, they made a tough game. So, I mean, I can really count that so much. But when their stars were out there, I thought my defense coordinator did a good job of showing different looks, and our kids just did a really good job of doing this.
Absolutely, and I was talking to Sheriff Buick, and he told me an interesting statistic, and it was the first 4 games you guys have only had 1 punt. What does that stat detailing as you think about it?
Yeah, and that punt was our backup swimmer too. So, yeah, it just shows you our offense. We got a 4-year starter quarterback, a bunch of good receivers, an offensive line that has 3 years of experience, most of them, and it's paying off now.
Absolutely, and I mean, I think you guys are going to need all the experience because it's only getting tougher from here. And as you guys look to district, and as you guys look deeper on in the season, I mean, what is one thing that you guys are going to look in and focus on as we go deeper into the season?
Yeah, the playoffs started for us this week. We treated this game like a playoff game, and from here on, we're in the playoffs. So next week we got Brazos. They look to be the hottest team in the district. So it could possibly be for the district championship next week, and that's what we're going to treat it.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to it, Coach. Thank you. Max, back to you.
All right, what a big-time game there for Tidehaven. Officially 4-0 this season for the Tigers. But now, over to another game to watch out for between the Needville Blue Jays facing the El Campo Ricebirds. And El Campo, I mentioned they were honorable mention on my list last week for my Friday Night 5 rankings. And for this El Campo Ricebirds team, they got a lot in stake. But Needville just beat Columbus last week. And guess what? They had a good start. Cameron Hall throws the deep pass down for the touchdown to Caden Yelbeck. And it's a big-time play inside the red zone for the Blue Jays. A couple plays later, how about Cameron Hall scrambling, looking out there to Ralphie Ortiz for the touchdown. What a pass there coming out there from there. Cameron Hall and Needville strikes first here in this ballgame. But El Campo, that rushing attack is lethal. Vladimir Garcia gets in the end zone. Unfortunately, he would be carted off during this game, so they had to rely on a different running back to get into it because the running game for Needville stepped up as well. You had a big one then from Kobe Campbell. He scores again. Now, this one we had these highlights. It was 28-7. We get here to the score here real quick. El Campo would score 35 unanswered, meaning it was tied there at 34-34. Needville got a 2-point conversion in overtime to take the win over El Campo, meaning there for El Campo, they officially moved down to 3-1 overall this season. Needville proves to 3-1 and a big-time victory there for the Blue Jays. How about over to Corpus, where the Miller Buccaneers, they were in this game at 0-3. They faced here a Crossroads team in the Cuero Gobblers, who are the opposite direction in the score in the record at 3-0. And guess what? The start here for Cuero and Coach Fikach couldn't have been not any better for this team. The Miller Buccaneers, they were trying to get started. And how about this play? Starting off, they get their commanding play, but it's in there to the end zone, and Miller takes the early spot there for the lead. They had the offense going early, but when you have this kid in Jackson Marine, and guess where he's going? He makes a elusive play, gets outside the pocket on this one, and then look who he goes over to. Big time play out there to his running back to get a big time play for the first down there for the Gobblers. A couple plays later, Marie steps back there in the pocket, keeps his feet alive in this play, looks downfield for the pass, and guess what? Goes into the end zone, and guess what? Guess who? That's actually our man Walker Dietz. It makes a big time play there for the touchdown, and Cuero would get here in this ballgame. Let's look at the final score in this one, 56-19 over the Miller Buccaneers. And again for Cuero, officially here 4-0 to start off. They're actually going to host Belton, another non-conference opponent there at home next week there at a 4-0 record. And stay with us here on Crossroads Football Live, as when we come back, we're going to look at how Victoria West and East did tonight, and also see how Shiner did on the road versus a very tough and competitive Industrial Cobras team. All that coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
We are the El Campo Ricebirds, and you're watching Crossroads Football Live. Woo!
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Victory Auto Group, where the customer always wins.
Welcome back, everyone, here to Crossroads Football Live. And again, after the break, we saw how Tidehaven did tonight, beating up Ganado. El Campo losing a tough battle there to Needville. And again, Cuero taking care of business over Miller. But let's check out how Shiner did facing the Industrial Cobras there on the road. And again, this game, Industrial 0-3 heading into this contest. Shiner, after starting 0-3 the past 2 seasons, 3-0 to start this season, looking to stay hot as they go. And guess what they do? How about this big-time run? That's their running back, Quincy Jones, gets in the end zone there to score there for Shiner, up there 7-0 early in this contest. And the Comanches, they rely on the running game, and Jarvis Williams can also sling the football as well. Look at this pass all the way inside the 5-yard line there from Williams. The next play after that, they get side of the end zone. Big time score for the Comanches. And Industrial kept this game close though. Yes, this game went to overtime. It was tied at 21-21, but Shiner would pull away at the end. So they won 27 there to 21 there for the Comanches. And officially, they are 4-0 here this season. They're going into playing Luling on the road next week, while Industrial will be off there for the Cobras. Now, Shiner just didn't take care of it on the field. They also were this week's Band of the Week there for the Shiner Comanches. Last week we gave it out to Tidehaven as our Band of the Week. And the Shiner Comanches, again, big-time program there out with their band, so props up to their band director and everyone involved for the Shiner Comanches. Now over to the Titans. They're looking for their first win of the season there versus their first district opponent game versus Seguin Matadors. And again, their defense started off hot here at Victoria East. Big-time tackle from Noah Shepard there, number 45, again to stop it. That would be a 4th down play. And then this next drive, how about Deidre Callis gets into the end zone. A new quarterback in charge now for East. Xavier Valdez is taking over charge. Not Callis a quarterback spot. He's now the running back like he was from St. Joe. And their defense kind of started off early, made some plays, and it led to this touchdown right here. Valdez finding number 1, Xavier Duran. And guess what? They would score, but their defense, after I left everyone, unfortunately couldn't get the job done. And unfortunately, they lose this one 38-21 for Victoria East here in this contest. They travel for a Thursday night contest at home versus the New Braunfels Unicorns there next week. How about Victoria West? They trying to see if they can stay undefeated, and guess what they do? They beat Beeville Jones 47-3 tonight here in this win. They actually have their first home game this next Friday there at Memorial Stadium versus St. Antonio McCullum there next week. And stay with us here on Crossroads Football Live, as we're going to go check out how the Goliad Tigers, as I get a chance to talk with their team and see how they're ready for district play. So don't go anywhere.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Palace Bingo. Can't have high school football without the beat of the marching bands. Crossroads Football Live is excited to spotlight talent at our local high schools with our Band of the Week segment. Every week, we'll pick one band to feature on Crossroads Football Live. Get your cameras and show us your band under the Friday night lights. Go to crossroadstoday.com/contest to nominate. Tune in to CFL every Friday night at 10:35 to see who's marching to the top.
Welcome back, everyone, here to Crossroads Football Live. Before we get back to the highlights in action, earlier today I caught up with the Goliad Tigers as they were on their bye week, and we had a chance to talk to Kevin Zalazar and 3 players there in Donovan Thury, Cy Hinkie, and Zyvan Gardner about how this team is feeling and how they're going in the district play. All right, everyone, welcome back here to Crossroads Football Live, and now I am with here the Goliad Tigers as they have their bye week here in week 4, and here with Kevin Salazar, Donovan Perry, Cy Hinkie, and Keandre Gardner. And guys, on your bye week, right, and going into this game, I mean, you guys are 2-1 so far, right? You guys had big time wins. Obviously, had a tough loss there versus Tidehaven, coach, but we know they're really talented as a team. So, walk me through, what's it going to be for you guys, knowing that you lost there at Tidehaven? What's kind of the growth going to be for you guys the rest of the way?
I think it's a big thing early in the season, going through preseason. We want to schedule tough opponents. Again, your preseason record doesn't go with you to district, so it only prepares you and gets you ready for what's to come. And coming off this bye week now, we're getting focused and getting healthy and getting ready to go, and starting back at 0-0 and trying to get our first road win, our district win on the road at Mathis.
Absolutely, and I always say it always restarts right there, Donovan, going in there to district play. Sure. Guys, play a Mathis team again. They did lose to St. Joe there back there in week 3, week 2 range, but walk me through what's it going to be for you guys, knowing you're the top rusher on this team, 1,000-yard rusher from last year. It's what are you kind of expecting for you guys going into district play to, kind of make a run for you guys there this year?
Just taking each week, just the team that we're playing, they put in front of us, just taking every team serious like it's our last game, and then just trusting our preparation and just making sure everyone's doing what they need to do and doing their role.
Absolutely. You got one of the guys down here right there, Keandre, one of the big-time guys, offensive, defensive line there blocking for you. He kind of told me beforehand, right, you had at least 7 kind of pancake blocks overall, then you got a couple of big-time plays, tackles for loss. Walk me kind of through, how's it been, kind of blocking for him and Cord and Lamont and all those weapons for you guys in the offense?
I mean, it's amazing. It's just these are good backs, and it's really a blessing to block for good backs like this and good athletes.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, right, 1,000-yard rusher right there. Yes, it's pretty good to have that kind of in your backfield as well. But kind of wanted to ask you, Coach, about with Cord, right? I mean, last year you guys had a different quarterback there that was in charge, but now you got Cord here this year for you guys. So walk me through how's he been at the quarterback spot for you guys this year?
Yeah, actually Cord later in the season last year, he got a lot of meaningful minutes for us and played a lot of games in the playoffs. But coming in this year, being the guy taking the helm, we feel like week by week he's getting better. You got to get game reps. You got to get those snaps. Right. And the only way to do that is to get live action. Yeah. And again, our preseason opponents have really helped, him to mature and grow. And I think that's going to help us moving on into district.
Absolutely. And now going over to one player that's trying to get back there from recovery, right? You kind of told me something there with your arm that you're trying to get back, but you're going to be healthy back for your first game there next week. Walk me through, what's kind of been the recovery process for you right now and hopefully to get back on the field with your guys.
I mean, really, there's not much of a recovery process. I'm kind of just jumping straight into it, taking it easy in practice a little bit, but still staying physical. But I mean, the greatest recovery process is just watching your guys go out there and battle each week and just knowing, just waiting to get your opportunity, waiting to get back on the field. But
absolutely. He also plays baseball, everyone, too, as well. So, kind of has that a little bit, too. But, how does that, help out? Because I always wonder, different multi-sport athletes, how that helps you out maybe playing on different sports. Walk me through, is there anything, maybe recovery-wise that baseball helped you out with maybe then a little bit different than getting into football, or not really, you would say?
I mean, no, not really, honestly. I mean, I'm still trying to baby it a little bit to come back, so I mean, I can still swing in baseball, but
right,
that's about it.
Yeah, it's it's a little bit different, right? Different sports and everything, but sometimes maybe especially with arm mobility and stuff like that could be a little bit different there going the rest of the way for you guys. But you'll be healthy there next week, and that's really all that matters the rest of the way. And Coach, I'm just going to go with you with this. We know Edna's kind of been that team, right? Edna's kind of been that team overall. It's been there in district play, but it seems like this year they're going a little bit down. I mean, they lost some players, right? Trevor Floyd is still going to be back there next week there against another opponent, I believe, against Orange Grove, if I'm corrected there for Edna. But like, when you look at this team though this year, what do you think is going to take for you guys maybe beat up their Edna there in district play and go very far in the playoffs?
You know, honestly, we just don't even look ahead that far. Our main focus is on Mathis. I know, you know, Coach Dixon coming over to Edna and the players that Edna have had and all that they've done, them guys will be ready to go every single week. So, you know, our main focus for us is focusing on ourselves and really trying to just take it 1 week at a time and one opponent at a time. And, you know, that bye week's over now, and now our focus is 100% on Mathis.
Absolutely, guys, and I can't wait to see what you guys do the rest of the way. Again, I think this Goliad Tigers team is a team to watch out for the rest of the way through the season. But thank you very much there, guys. Thank you very Coach Donovan, Cy there, and Keandre for being here there for our interview portion here of Crossroads Football Live. And stay with us on Crossroads Football Live, as after the break, we're going to showcase how Calhoun, St. Joe, and Yorktown did tonight and include a reveal of our top 10 showdown between Bay City and Sealy. All that next on Crossroads Football Live.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Frost Bank.
All right, what a great conversation I had with the Goliad Tigers football team, but let's get back to the highlights, shall we? Let's look at Calhoun Sandcrabs. They host and they honor First Responders Night, as we saw there from our very own weekend anchor of mine, Norman, talking about this from our pregame activities. But how would that translate over to the field, you would say? Again, like all the players, they went out there with the military, and they would walk out there going with the field with a player each for this game. So props up there for Calhoun in this one. But when it came to the game, Calhoun had a very good squad to watch out for. They got a team that's looking for their first win, and their offense kind of got going. How about this? Holton Hadley gets into the end zone there for the Sand Crabs, and they would take the early lead in this one. Then, how about the next couple plays? It sets up here with this one, and for Calhoun, what they do a good job of here for the Sand Crabs is they still use the triple option a little bit, but they do a little wing tee off of it, and it worked to perfection here on this play. Another touchdown for the Sand Crabs, and that style of offense would win to get the victory in this one, with the final score being 32-8 over the Stafford Spartans. And next week, they're going to host Mexico City, Mexico for homecoming week there next week at home. Over to the 2A ranks for the Yorktown Wildcats. They hosted homecoming night versus the Taft Greyhounds, and Yorktown's offense, they started on the right foot there. Again, well, Taft actually started on the right foot part of it. Get a nice little touchdown pass to start off for Taft. And then here comes Yorktown. Brody Medding, remember him from our top plays? Guess what? Well, he does it again. How about a big time score? Get into the end zone there for the Wildcats. And again, they would tie this game, but Taft right back at it. Both teams high scoring affair. They would score a touchdown there for Taft, and again, they take back the lead. Then a couple plays later, Brody Medding calls his own number and then finds his way into the end zone. This game back and forth, and it came down to a punt that went over, and then it would turn into a safety there for Yorktown to get the victory, 21-20 here in this contest. For the Wildcats, they will finish non-district play versus the Bruni Badgers there next week. And stay with us here in Crossroads Football Live as we get to our favorite part of the show, where I reveal this week's Friday Night 5 rankings. So don't go anywhere.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Hudson offers Velocity Power Sports Outdoor Fun Store.
All right, everyone, we're back here to Crossroads Football Live, and guess what? We're here to our Friday Night 5 rankings, and last week, a lot of you didn't agree with me there with my rankings there. About 75% of you did not. So how would that translate here over to tonight? Well, let's check out my list there from 5 all the way to number 1. First, we're going to start down. Shiner was at the number 4 spot, and guess what? They moved up there to number 5 on the list for the Shiner Comanches. This team had a tough overtime game there again tonight versus Industrial, but Jarvis Williams still finds a way to make big-time plays for the Comanches. And for this team as well, for Shiner, they're still finding a way to be consistent, but out their starting quarterback, but also their defense. I felt like even though tonight wasn't a great representation for this team, they still found a way again with their defense. When they needed a play in overtime, they got the job done. And for Shiner, this team's going to go travel to Luling next week. But again, after that, though, for this team, they're going to find a way to get right back to business. And I think Shiner still at number 5, dropped only 1 spot there from this rankings. But a team that's moving up all the way, not even in the 5 rankings, but got in for this week, the Victoria West Warriors at number 4. Yes, this for Victoria West, this team is starting to put all the pieces together, both on the offense and defensive side. I really like Nolan Boyce this year. I think he is just one of those underrated quarterbacks flying under the radar for West this season. And Genesis Jeffries, Brody Flores is also another underrated running back system as well. So I think that's going to be key too. If they can balance that running game with Jeffries and Flores, knowing you got Aiden De Leon and Cage Raddick that are 2-time wide receivers, I think for me, for West, this is a team now getting ready to start district play next week against St. Antonio McCullum. They're going going to make some big-time noise because later on for me, for West, we see these highlights there against Alamo Heights. That is the team when they get into district play, they're going to have to fear the most because after that, I think Bernie's another test for them going into district play, but I still believe West, if they can get all the pieces and beat those two teams, they could probably make a huge run. They're going to the playoffs. So West is at my number 4 team. Who's at number 3? Well, team that didn't have to play this week, but is still at number 3 is the Refugio Bobcats. Refugio is a team I still like with Ray Lewis, Xander Wills, and how this defense is played every week. I mean, last week you saw how they did it against Edna. I mean, that's what I like about Refugio is I like how Xander Wills and how this team on the offensive side gets to spark big-time plays, but their defense, no one talks about them a lot because they, even with 2 backup quarterbacks for Edna, they found a way to slow down that offense there last week. And I think for Refugio, this is a team that's going to go and probably easily be favored in their district because, again, the only challenge I believe they're going to have in district play is against the Three Rivers Bulldogs. Everybody else, Skidmore, tight end, Freer, I do not see that's going to be a contest for Refugio. So I believe for them, they're going to stay at number 3, and they probably will be up there in the rankings and probably see a team like Ganado possibly there later down the road. We go over to our number 2 team, and guess what? I think this team is really close neck to neck with going to be our number 1 team in a minute, the Cuero Gobblers. This team has just gotten better and better week by week. And guess what? They beat a Miller Buccaneers team who last year kind of has been a team that's been a powerhouse out in the Corpus area the past couple of years. But they destroyed them tonight 56-19. But what I like about what Cuero also is getting is that it's not always relying on Jackson Marine Walker Deeds. It's also looking at Melo Perez, that has been a big-time running back as well. He stepped up for the team. And Aiden Stafford is a guy, also a defensive end. He got some big-time tackles today in the contest that we saw. And I think that's going to be key for Cuero. If their defense can keep being consistent, because we know the offense has got the firepower. If their defense can make the plays that they did tonight, I think that's going to be key for Cuero. And they're our number 2 team, but number 1 after they beat a very talented team in Ganado, who were the 2A Division I state champions from last year, is the Tidehaven Tigers. This team 38-12. That is an impressive. Remember, Ganado beat Tidehaven last year 42-7. Well, this year, the Tidehaven turned the page around. And guess what? Cale Russell, Boogie Galvin, and this entire team made some big-time plays for this squad. And also, their defense has been the most thing impressive for me for Tidehaven. How their defense has shut down an offense like Ganado. I mean, Ganado was scoring 50, 40, 30 points a game on the offensive side. And guess what? They got shut down by this team there from Ganado, again, Tidehaven, pardon me. And they got big-time wins when they needed to there for the Tigers. So I think that was a big-time win for Tidehaven, and they're still, until I see any different, they are still our number 1 team to watch out for. And thank you, everyone, here to all our sponsors, the Victory Auto Group, Palace Bingo, Frost Bank, Velocity Power Sports. And if you want to join CFL, if you need any scores updates or updates, come to crossroadstoday.com or download our app. Look for our podcast every Monday or Wednesday. We're going to talk about it each week. But we're getting into week 5 here, almost halfway through the high school football season, and we're getting ready to start a lot of teams for district play. So we're going to highlight that going through the rest of the way, and I can't wait to be back for next week for Crossroads Football Live.